Hello there, everybody. Welcome back. Just going to give a quick recap of everything we've done up to this point. So far, we've gone over how to output text to a screen via the print and the write functions. We've gone over how to get user input with read and even how to mask what they type. We added some logic to our code with the if-then statement, so now we can actually test if things are true or not. Went over variables briefly, talked about some data types such as strings, integers, and most recently we went over the term library a little bit with term.clear and term.set cursor position. So that's some very basic UI elements. Last time I challenged you to change the color of your text and to try and center it on the screen. If any of you attempted that and were successful, then awesome. I definitely congratulate you on that. If you tried and weren't successful, then that is completely okay. After all, it is a learning experience, and sometimes you don't get things the first try. But I'm going to quickly go over that now so you can see how I do it, and maybe you'll pick it up from there. So maybe we want to center the enter password on the very center of the screen. I guess the most basic way is we can just manually set the cursor there and then write it out. From last video, we know that the resolution of the screen is 51 by 19. Just a quick mention, this right here is a comment. You'll notice that it's highlighted differently than everything else. All comments is basically notes to yourself. You could put them anywhere in your script and they will be ignored. They will not impact your code in any way. So definitely use comments where you need to. It's always good for big projects, especially if you leave, then come back to it. It'd be kind of hard to remember where you were and what you did. So comments, very nice. Anyway, now that we know that this is our resolution, let's just go ahead and set our cursor position. And I'm just going to kind of guess as to where it might look good, where it might be centered. So if we take 51 divided by 2, it's about 25. Enter password is dozen characters long, so let's just try 14 and then 9 and see what that looks like. I'd say that looks pretty good. That's pretty centered, so I am happy with that. Sometimes you just got to play around with it, change the numbers a little bit, see if you like where it's at, and then go from there. I think I'll even go with the 15 because why not? It looks a little bit more centered. So now it's centered. Of course, when we actually put our password in, that is not going to be centered, so we can fix that as well just by also changing this. This one's a little bit of a shorter, so we'll go with 20, and I want it to be 2 lines underneath the enter password. So let's see what that looks like. That looks great. So I'm going to keep that. And then for the other one, I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste that. It's a little bit longer, so let's go with a 14. See how that looks. We're going to get it wrong and incorrect. Go away. Great. Now let's add some color to this. Maybe we can make this welcome a nice green, really make it feel welcoming. So we're going to go ahead and do the term.set text color. And in here, I'm going to do colors.green. I'm going to copy and paste this down here. And let's make this red, make it look very unwelcome. Terminate that and rerun it. Welcome, it's in green. Very nice, very welcoming. Now, incorrect, go away in red. Very menacing. Now you notice that's weird. Now the enter password is red. What's up with that? And that is because after you change the color, it's going to influence everything after that. So typically, best practice is at the end of whatever you're doing, you want to set the color back to the default. So I'm going to do colors.white. We rerun it, get it wrong. Oh, and I was wrong. It was not white. You know why? It's because we ran shell.run, so it never got to this point. So actually, I'm going to run it at the very beginning. Get it wrong, run it, and there we go. Now it's red. My cursor is red for some reason. Oh, now it's not. That's a little weird. I don't know why it's doing that. But hey, the text is red. That's all that matters. Anyway, so that's how I did it. That's how I centered it, and that's how I changed the text color. Today, we're going to talk all about loops. Loops are very important. They are one of the most valuable tools in your arsenal as a programmer, because there's a lot of repetition that you might type, and sometimes it's better to just type it once and have it do it multiple times on its own. So how can we incorporate a loop into this program here, the passwords? Well, currently, we're running this program every time that the password is wrong, which that's bad practice. We don't want to have to do that. Instead, we can have this entire logic here be in a loop so that it doesn't exit the loop until you get the password right. And I'll show you what that means. Let's just stick this at the top. There's two different types of loops that you would primarily use. You got the while loop. I guess while true do is like the most basic format. And like the if statement, you must have an end. Otherwise, it won't know what you're looping exactly or where it ends. You also got the for loop. So you got for, some condition, do, and end. They will always have the do, no matter what. There is a third kind of loop, which I will touch on very briefly, but only because it's much more niche, and that is the repeat until loop. And like I said, we'll go over that towards the end. So first, let's do the while loop, because I think that's the one that's going to apply to us most. Now, you might be wondering, what's the difference between the while and the for? Well, the while loop is ran when you have no idea how many times you need it to repeat, or maybe you want it to repeat forever until a condition is met. That's what this is in here, is a condition, just like this is a condition. So we can say, we can even do like the while true do. So let's get rid of that. Let's maybe stick this inside of the loop because we want it to clear the screen, we want it to set the cursor position, and we want it to set the text to white, which actually we no longer need this since we are now centering the cursor. So let's go ahead and clean this up a little bit, and we no longer need this. Pretty amazing. So let's just see what that looks like. Let's run it. Oh, actually, can you identify what's wrong here? There is something very wrong. And I will even run it because then it'll tell you what's wrong. All right. Unexpected end of file. Expected end or another statement. So that means we're missing an end. And what we're missing an end for is this if-then statement. You know, sometimes mistakes happen. You just got to catch it. All right. So let's get it wrong. Incorrect. Go away. And look at that. We restarted from the beginning. Now let's get it right. Password 123. Oh, it didn't do anything at all. And we're back to the beginning. Well, that is because as it is written, we are stuck in this loop forever, whether we get it right or wrong, which is a scary existence. So what we need is a way to break out of the loop if they get it right. Instead, cut this, paste it down here. There is something you can write called break. And all that means is break out of the active loop that you're in and just continue on with the rest of the program. So let's just save and run. By the way, I never mentioned this, and it's probably really important, and if I'm sure you've figured it out by now if you've been following along. But in order to terminate a running program, you just hold Control-T, and it'll terminate. Then you'll be back in the shell. It's a very important thing that I forgot to mention, and I do apologize for that. But you know now, and that's the important part. So I'm going to run it, get the password right. Welcome. And we're free to do what we want to do. Maybe we want the cursor to go in the top left. That would be a good idea. We can have it flash there for like a second, and then term.set, or actually, we'll do term.clear, term.set cursor position 1,1. So remember, that's the top left corner. We'll go ahead and run that again, get this correct. Welcome. So that is the while loop in a nutshell. It's just going to keep on going forever and ever until a condition is met. And in this case, there really is not a way to change this condition unless we say false. In this case, we can easily get out of the loop just by typing break. And it's as simple as that. Now, let's do a for loop. What is the deal with the for loop? What we can do here is basically you already know ahead of time of how many times you want to run this loop. And it's a iteration based. You got a number. So say we need a variable. It could be I, it could be X, it can be whatever. But the standard variable people use is I for iteration. For I equals, we're setting it equal to something. Now we need two numbers here, a starting point and then an end. So we're going to start at 1, do a little comma, do 10. So we're going to do it 10 times and do. And then, of course, slap the end. Now, whatever we put in here is going to happen 10 times. So let's just print I, because we are going to print this number, and this number is going to keep going up until it's 10. So let's go ahead and do that. Oh, it went from 1 to 10 instantly. And you might be wondering, why was it so fast? And it's the same reason we had to put this sleep here and the sleep here. Otherwise, we would never see this message because it's going to go instant. So we're going to put a sleep here for 1/4 of a second so we can actually see it. There we go. It's counting up 1 through 10. Welcome. For now, let's just comment all of that out. If you're in Visual Studio Code, you can do that by highlighting and doing Control / on your keyboard. And it'll comment all of those lines. See it on the screen there. There we go. So 1 through 10. There is a third argument here that we could put another number. If I put a comma 2, what do you think is going to change here? If you had to guess, just think about it for a sec and ponder. Well, if you said it will iterate only every 2 times, then you would be correct. Oh, what the? Oh, I didn't save it. Let's try it again. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. There we go. It did it every 2 times instead. That's pretty cool. You can also put decimals. Doesn't matter. It'll still iterate. We're going to have some decimal values. That's pretty neat. So maybe, what's a real application for this in this program? Well, I guess we could have like a loading bar. That would be kind of cool, right? We know that the screen width is 51, so we could do 51 for how many times it's going to do it. And remember, the print statement has a line break at the end. So if we don't change this to right, then it's just going to go down the screen 51 times. And we want it to go across the screen. And maybe we can do a little equal sign action. Make an equal sign go across the screen. And we will do this a lot faster. Let's do 0.1. Also, let's go ahead and set position back at the top so it goes across the top of the screen. Now, do you think this is going to work, or what do you think it's going to look like? Oh, there it is. There's a loading bar. The slow computer. All right, and we're in. We can... I think this is as fast as you can actually make it in ComputerCraft. I think if you go any faster than that, you're not going to notice any sort of difference. Oh, you can do it faster. I was mistaken. So I think that was a thing in an older version of ComputerCraft, but now we can go to 0.01. So let's just do 0.05. I think that seems like a great speed. Yep, there we go. And we're in. That's a for loop in action. We got ourselves a little loading bar. Very cool. Let's comment this whole thing out. So we're going to do repeat, and then anything inside of here is going to just repeat. So say, for instance, we do write type yes to continue. And we do input equals read, and we want it to go until yes is entered. So we will do until input equals yes. And you do not need an end. You do not need a do. That is just all it is. And when it is done, we'll just print thanks. Let's see what this looks like. Type yes to continue. We're going to not type yes. Nope, nope, nope. We're stuck in it forever, just like the while loop. We type yes, thanks. We're out of the loop. What's the difference between this and the while loop? Why even use this when the while loop does the same thing? And there really is only a very small difference. The difference is that the repeat until is guaranteed to run at least once, even if input already equals yes. So for instance, if we do input equals yes, so let's, I did 2 equals. Whoopsie me. Run that again. See, it's having me do it again, but if I enter nothing, it's not going to continue. It doesn't matter. It kind of ignores that this exists for the time being. So we'll do yes, and we're out. Those are the 3 loops, but generally, I imagine you'll mostly be using the for and the while loop. I almost forgot to give you some sort of challenge with these loops because they are just so powerful and enabling. You should be able to do a lot more things. Instead, I have two challenges for you. First challenge, to improve our little password program, try and have a certain amount of attempts you can do before it locks you out for a minute. And if you nail that, then try and make a game where the computer picks a random number and then the user has to guess what that number is. But every time they make a guess, the computer will say, you need to go higher or you need to go lower until you get to the right number. Have a certain amount of tries before you lose, and that's the whole game. Try and make that, and that is definitely harder in the first one, and it does involve a couple of things we haven't gone over. So you will have to reference the CC Tweaked wiki. I wish you the best of luck, and let me know how it goes. All right, bye-bye.